the presentation. My name is Brock. I am the program manager with AutismBC, and I'm joined today with Lillian from Disability Alliance BC. Thank you so much for joining. With that, I want to pass it over to Lillian to introduce themselves and then lead us in this discussion. What we are going to do is go through a few different sections, and we will be able to ask questions after kind of each section of understanding the PWD benefits section. So you are able to type questions into the chat box, as well as when there is time, you can mute or unmute yourself if you prefer to ask the question with your voice. Thank you. Lillian?
Hi, again, like Brock said, my name is Lillian. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about the PWD program. I've been working at the Disability Alliance for over 16 years, mostly doing PWDs, but I also did taxes, and I did the Disability Tax Credit, or DSP, for a few years. And so, but I'm back to PWD at the moment. So why don't we get started? Okay, because I'm looking at the time, and I'm wanting to cover everything, and now you guys for questions. Okay, so today we're going to basically talk about PWD, okay, and not anything else. And then we can definitely help you. We have several advocates here that are focusing just on PWD to help you. So in order to get on PWD, you have to be on income assistance first. In order to be on income assistance, you have to do an online application, and my self-serve, and then create my self-serve account as well as a BC EID. And then if you still need help assistance, we do have an excellent help sheet on our website. It's help sheet number 12A. Okay, the application is for the ministry. It's basically everything's online right now. But if you have any difficulty and cannot do it online, and you don't have family or friends who are computer literate, you can call the ministry to see if they can help you. And so for the to register online, you're gonna have to upload your bank statements, ID, vet receipts, and things like that. Or so you could take a picture to upload it, or fax it to them, or drop it off to the ministry office as well. So after you've done the online orientation, the ministry, it's about 5 business days, and they should respond back to you after 5 business days, and to tell you whether or not you've been approved to be on income assistance. And at that time, your PWD application should either be mailed to you, or you will go pick it up. So any questions about the income assistance process before we move on to PWD? Okay, so with the ministry, there's basically 3 programs. The first one is income assistance. For a single person, that means you get a total of $935 a month. That includes shelter, because your check is always divided into shelter and support. And then after $375 of that $935 will be designated for shelter. Okay, so you're going to need rent receipts and stuff like that. Okay, the second program is the what I call the short-term disability program. It's good for 2 years after you've been approved. It's the PPMB, persons with persistent multiple barriers, and you get a little bit extra money every month, but you do get enhanced medical. But this PPMB is focused a lot on employment, and so a lot of the questions that they ask are, what are your conditions that prevent you from looking for work, and what are your barriers to looking for work. And the barriers can, it could be, you were abused, or you were, not enough education, you're illiterate, and things like that. But you can apply at the same time as PWD, because the PPMD gets approved faster, and whereas the PWD is taking a few months. So in the interim, if you get your PPMB approved, then you get a little bit more money, and then you get a bit more medical benefits. Then of course the third program is the PWD program. which will basically get you $1,358 a month. But then it has a lot of enhanced medical dental benefits, plus the bus pass, which a lot of people really appreciate, because then they can travel everywhere. Okay, so in order to apply for PWD, you need to be a resident of BC, you need to be Canadian resident and age 18 or up to 65. Okay, and then you must have a serious disability that will last at least 2 years or more. It could be both physically or mental disability. And then you need to, because of the disability, you need to have restrictions in your everyday living, in performing your activities of everyday living. And then that you need ongoing assistance from either other people, devices, or assistive animals. And then, of course, there's an income asset test, because it is income assistance. Your assets, while you're on PWD, you can have up to $100,000, and that could be, money, bank, property, other than residence. There are exemptions that's not included in the $100,000 asset level, and you can own your own vehicle that you drive from to do everyday day-to-day travel. You could own the house that you live in, and of course you own your clothes and any equipment, as well as another thing that's exempt is your RDSP and any disability trust. Okay, and so all that does not count towards the $100,000. And so when you're approved for PWD, you're allowed to work and make money in addition to getting your PWD monies. And then if you're single, you can earn up to $15,000 a year. And anything above the $15,000 will just get deducted off your PWD money, dollar per dollar. And then usually my clients worry, but I'm getting less PWD money. I said, well, the upside to working is that you build up your future CPP benefit. Because every year that you don't work on CPP, your CPP amount when you get to 65 will get smaller and smaller. Okay. So it's $15,000 for a single person, and for a couple where one has PWD, it's $18,000. Whereas if both have PWD, then it's $30,000. And then because it is income assistance, they need to keep track of how much money that you're earning every month, or something different if you've moved or anything. So you have to do a monthly report to the ministry if something happens that impacts your eligibility. Okay, or you move, or you had somebody else had a child or something to your family unit. And this monthly report has to be done by the 5th of every month. You can get this one through my self-serve or through the ministry office. And this is how the monthly report looks like. Okay. Okay. Any questions thus far?
Yeah, so with the monthly report, how detailed do your records need to be for like what you spend while you're on PWD?
That's not what they're interested in. They're interested mainly if you get income. If you're working, or somebody gives you money, or you see how much child support, you get WCB, if you're renting out a room, rental income. They're interested in that.
Okay. And then you said it needs to be submit by the 5th of each month. Is that done online or on paper? Which one would you recommend?
Well, online is faster, through your My Self-Serve account.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would really encourage everybody to sign up for My Self-Serve.
Okay. And then the third question here is, can the PWD get audited? Like, is that why they're doing it, the reports monthly?
Well, why they're doing the reports monthly is to see if you're eligible financially, because it is under the income assistance program. like for example, I have several disabilities, but because I'm working, I'm not financially eligible for PWD because it's under income assistance. Whereas I am eligible for the disability tax credit because of my disability.
Okay. And then you said if your earnings exceed 15,000 a year, then it gets deducted. Could you are you going to talk more about that later on, or could you explain that a little bit more? Because people frequently ask like, oh, I've earned up to say 14,000. I don't know if I should do something else and work and make maybe 3,000, 4,000 more dollars, because how is it going to impact my monthly earnings?
Okay, and I usually answer that question by that's why they have to stay on top of reporting to the ministry how much money they earn every month, so that there's a running tally. If they've exceeded the the amount of money, the 15,000 per year, and once that's exceeded, the monies that you earn more than that will just get deducted dollar per dollar off your PWD check, which is fine. Okay, because you're still getting the same amount of money, whether it's through earnings or whether it's through income assistance. But the benefit to that is that your CPP goes up at the end. Because the more you work and contribute to CPP, then your CPP amount gets increased, when you get to 65.
Right.
And so you're not really losing money, except that you're working more.
Right. Okay. And then two more questions just before we move on. One, does the monthly report always have to be done, or only if your income changes?
Only if you're working and your income changes, or if your income changes, whether or not you lost your job or something. If there's something changes, you need to tell the ministry. We move, tell the ministry we stop work, and we start school. Are you looking for work? If you move to a nursing home, any little changes, they need to know.
Okay. So then if your earnings are, say, variable, say you are kind of self-employed or independently employed, and it depends, some months you might receive some, or you go to a fair and you're selling some of your art, like, do you have to claim all of those?
Yeah, you need to report everything.
Okay.
Again, it's that running tally that they need to know, so that it can, see if you are beyond your 15,000.
Okay. I think we'll pause the questions. We'll keep going, and we'll come back to some of the questions we haven't got to. Thank you.
Okay, so PWD, if you get proof of PWD, a single person will get maximum, this is including shelter, $1,358.42. And then if you want a bus pass, you can get a bus pass. But if you don't want a bus pass, and now I have a vehicle, I'll drive, then they will give you back the $52 to be added to the $1,358. Okay. And then, of course, on PWD, you get medical dental benefits as well as other benefits. Okay, some health benefits that you get on PWD. Of course, your MSP, and then fair pharmacare, and then diet supplements like diabetes, or if you have osteoporosis, then you can apply for some specialized diet supplements, and nutritional supplements like the monthly nutritional supplement, the M&S. Okay, the M&S application is pretty difficult to apply for, because your condition has to be chronic and deteriorating, and your doctor basically has to say that you need these items, you need more supplements to prevent imminent danger to your life. Okay, and you need to have two of the following symptoms. If there's a significant deterioration of an organ, if you have I don't know, a heart attack, okay. If you're immune compromised, you're malnourished, significant muscle mass loss, significant neurological deterioration, significant weight loss, or if you're significantly underweight. Okay, so if you're eligible for the MNS amount, then you're looking at $205 a month on top of the PWD amount. Okay, if you're on PPMD, you're not eligible to apply for the MNS application. Okay, of the $205, $165 of that is for nutritional items, and then then another $40 is for vitamins. But the interesting thing is, if you're MSO, medical services only, that means you're working so much that your total PWD monies is deducted to zero, okay, and you've maxed out your earnings and you just medical services only. You're not able to apply for the monthly nutritional supplement. But if you're just getting a $40 diet allowance for cancer, osteoporosis, or $35 for diabetes, you can still apply for the MNS and apply for the vitamin for $40, and you can apply for that. So any questions about that?
Yeah, Rosemary says, could you speak a little more about the FAIR Pharmacare? Does that cover medications for ADHD?
You will have to talk to Fair Pharmacare about that.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Right. So there's not like a list of these are what is covered. Like we couldn't look that up.
They would, but then again, it's the Fair Pharmacare would know.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know. Other questions? Okay, if not, let's move on. Okay, dental supplements. So this is basically basic dental care, administered by Pacific Blue Cross. If you're an adult, you get covered $1,000 over 2 years. If you have dependent children, then it's $2,000 over a 2-year period. Okay, and then if you're in excruciating pain, then they'll cover a little bit more, but then it has to be pre-approved by the ministry, health assistance branch first. Okay, then eye exams. The ministry will pay $44.83 for ophthalmologists and $48.90 for ophthalmologists. Okay, but if you have special conditions, they may pay for the full amount, but otherwise you have to pay up the remaining amount. So every time you go to the dentist or every time you go to the eye doctor, always check with the receptionist to check with Pacific Blue Cross how much is covered. Don't do anything without prior pre-approval. Otherwise, you will end up with the bill if it's not covered. Okay, so always get pre-approval from the ministry first before you start cleaning the teeth, before anything. Okay, otherwise you're gonna have to pay for it. Any questions? Okay, basic eyewear will be covered, lenses and frames every 3 years. And then your lenses can be covered more frequently if, due to special medical conditions, and then eyeglass repairs. Specialized eyewear, it's only if your basic glasses are not working for you. But again, you need pre-approval by the health assistance branch. Okay. Medical supplies, they may, pay for these items, for wound care, incontinence, limb circulation care, for needles, syringes, certain medical devices. Payment again has to be pre-approved. Okay, and whatever you get, sometimes they want a quote, like 3 quotes. You go around, looking for wheelchair. First of all, to get a wheelchair, you have to, get a doctor's note, and then you have to go see a occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, to get them fill out some forms to see what kind of equipment you need. Then you have to run around looking for the least, get some quotes on the wheelchair or the walker or the cane that you need, and get several quotes, and then they will pay for the cheapest one. And then extended therapy, of course, after you use up your 10 visits that's covered under MSP, they can improve up to 12 extra visits, but they will only pay $23. So you need to talk to your physio or occupational therapist to see how much is the total. Usually it's like what, $90 or $100. And then so if the ministry only pays $23, you can end up paying the rest. Okay. So what I usually tell my clients to do after that is I usually suggest that, you know, maybe they go to you know, the different schools that's teaching physiotherapy or whatever, or massage or whatever, and see if they have programs, you know, for their students, you know, whereas you're the testee, you're the guinea pig, okay, for the students. And those are usually cheaper because they're supervised by, you know, by their teachers. But then basically they need people to practice on. That's why they're cheaper. So that's one option. Oh, so I was talking to you about the monthly nutritional supplement. Okay, this one can be picked up by the, you know, from the ministry. Okay, any questions so far?
Yeah, for a lot of those, you were saying that you need like pre-approval from the ministry. Do you know what they are looking for in that? Like, do you have to apply? Do you have to say, I would like eyewear, and this is why? Like, what are they looking for in that? Because I know, like many people from the autistic community is like understanding the system or understanding like that pathway to support. So if you knew like what they were looking for, I think that would be quite helpful.
Well, in terms of eyewear, you know, the ophthalmologist and you know, the optician, they just need to contact the health assistance branch to see how much of it is covered, and get a quote from them before you actually buy it. See how much is covered. You know,
Okay, and that would be the same with like each of those. So you said like for dentist, for
especially
OT.
dentist.
Okay.
Okay. The OT, I would go through the public health unit. You know, get the doctor, you know, to see the public health unit can cover the OT.
Okay.
And physio. They use up, you know, whatever public resources are available first.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Say, so for the PWD application, okay, there is a simplified process, okay, and the simplified process, I mean, you still have to do the online orientation, you still got to do the PWD application, except that in a much simpler format. And so for people who are already receiving CPP disability or receiving, or who are hopefully not palliative, you know, care, but if you're registered with CLBC or you're registered with the at-home program, you get to do a simplified PWD process application. Okay, and when you do the online application, they will ask you, you know, are you on those particular programs, and they'll, you know, tell you what to do. Okay, but if you're not, okay, the regular PWD application is in 3 sections. The first section, you know, is your section, and it's optional, but I usually get people to do it. The second one is the medical report, the doctor does it, and the third section is a necessity. It could be a doctor, but usually I prefer it to be maybe a social worker, or depending on what your conditions are. It was a physio or something that knows what your condition. Okay, more than a doctor. Okay, so the criteria for the PWD are 3. And the first one is severity. You know, it has to last at least 2 years or more. Okay. Then the next one is how it impacts your day-to-day life in different activities of daily living. And then assistance. What are you needing help from other people? You need help from devices, or assistive animals. So for the first section, it's optional, but usually I think this is a really important section, even though it's optional, because I find that the doctor and the assessor depend on this section to give them more information, because your time with the doctor is what, 10 minutes max, right? Nowadays. And so they don't have 10 minutes to ask you, everything. Whereas, I spend like up to an hour and a half, 2 hours with my clients doing section 1 and doing a draft of section 2 for the doctor. And so I'm able to give them a lot of details that they would need to know in order to fill up their sections. So it's good to provide more to do section 1, especially if you're going to apply for the disability tax credit. When I was working on disability tax credit in the past, I would usually I would write the PWD accordingly so that it can be used for the disability tax credit as well, because I know what they're looking for, and then I usually attach it. So this section can be, in point form. I prefer to do it myself in point form, and then with according to the application. Okay, all the different sections of the application. Self-care, meal preparation, housework, shopping, mobility, social functioning, etc., management of finances and all that. And I usually have a category, okay, self-care, and then dot or hyphen, all the different problems, and then and then the next section, meal preparation, can't remember, or forget, not lack of motivation, etc. Okay, so that's what I usually do for section 1. For section 2, after section 1, I usually do a rough draft of suggestions for the doctor, and then put in this section. There are examples of words that the ministry might be on the lookout for. For example, that the impairments are severe and persistent. And then, or despite ongoing treatments, the impairment will not likely resolve within 2 years. And the chronic, pervasive, and severe. Okay, the restrictions. Very often, people misinterpret that, misunderstand, and think that restrictions usually mean that you can't do it, period. But let's broaden that the word restrictions to, hey, it's I'm doing fatigue, or it takes much longer, or it causes me anxiety when I do it, or I get more pain when I do it, or I'm not motivated to do it. Okay, it could be periodic or continuous but if it's periodic, okay, the doctor has to mention, how often, for what percentage of time. Like, for example, for 3 days a week, for 75% of each day, 3 days a week, I'm basically bedridden by pain, something like that. Okay, some examples are what to write. For the doctor, is patient has significant restrictions to numerous daily living activities as a direct result of their severe impairments. Or I have read the self-report and agree and fully support the application for disability assistance. Because I usually staple my section 1 onto the PWD, and if the doctor agrees with that, then I get him to write that comment. Okay, the need for assistance. Okay, because they are significantly restricted to require help with numerous different daily living activities. This doesn't, usually I have a little discussion, or explaining to my clients that hey, this doesn't mean that you may not get it. Just because you say that you need help doesn't mean that they can give you help. Or just because you say that you need a grandpa, they're not, may not, but it's just, but I need you to show the need, okay, that you do need help. Okay, even though it may not be available, even though you're set up, you don't have your personal shower that you can install a grab bar, but you still need to show the need for a grab bar. If you're living in a public housing situation where there's no grab bars. Okay. Okay, any questions so far?
Yeah, we have a few questions. So is that a good like use of language first? When it says like need of assistance or significant impairment, like sometimes people's functionality shifts like day to day. But are these like kind of key words that they're looking
Yes,
for in the
yes, they are.
application?
Yes, they are. And usually I ask my clients, on a bad day or on a better day, because some of them say, oh, every day is a bad day for me. Okay, what's a better day? How many? So I would rate, okay, every day is a bad day with maybe 5 worst days in which, I am bedridden.
Okay.
Okay.
If Jennifer asks, if someone has already qualified for the disability child tax credit, do they complete the shorter application or the longer one?
I think it's the longer one they complete because they're not registered with because they're not yet registered with the at-home program or CLBC or CPBD.
Right. Okay. And Angela asked, is there a way to do and start the PWD application in person, or do you recommend always doing it online?
You mean with us?
Yeah, sure. With you, because I do think that it is like the services that Disability Alliance offers and like being able to sit with someone and talk with someone who understands this is more helpful than trying to figure it all out alone. Like, these tips of like, these are certain words that they might be looking for, where that it's difficult to understand and kind of navigate a lot of those government or legal written up documents.
Yeah. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're not seeing clients in person yet, but that's going to be phased in the next few weeks, where we actually see clients face to face. At the moment, we're just doing phone calls or by Zoom or by email and do it that way, or by, snail mail if they don't have printers and stuff.
Okay. And if they're not using Disability Alliance assistance, is there a way to start the PWD application in person? Like, would that be them going in and talking to their physician?
They could, if they don't want our help, they could, of course, you have the option to do it yourself without any help. You just have to talk to the ministry, tell them that you need a PWD application. And they
Okay.
can do one, or you would go pick one up. And then you have 2 months to fill it out or get it filled out. But if it takes longer than 2 months, just tell the ministry, that, hey, right now my doctor has it, or, and then they'll extend it.
Okay.
Or
Um,
it's your file. Always keep the ministry informed.
and is this a benefit that you can retroactively apply for? Like, can you go back and apply for previous years? No.
No, no, no.
Okay. We'll pause the questions now. I'll let you keep going and I'll get back to the other ones that are still in the chat here.
Okay, then section 3 of the PWD application, your doctor can do it, or another professional like a social worker or physio or whatever. Usually I prefer the doctor or the social worker to do this part, because the social worker can cover a lot of different medical conditions. Whereas if you get your physio to do it, the physio, and then if your conditions are like, I don't know, spinal cord injury, but then you also have depression, you also have asthma or whatever, okay? The physio will not mention the depression, the asthma, anything else that's not physio related, okay, or spinal cord injury related. So usually I would rather have the social worker do it, because then the social worker can talk about all your conditions. Okay. And it's best to get another person other than doctor do it, because then you get more, the doctor can get put in more information in his section. It's always good to always put, yes, I'm able to walk, but then I'm like 3 times slower compared to my healthy peer. Or if I cook, it takes me 3 hours to cook one meal, because of my fatigue, or it's because of my poor memory, or I need reminders, or I need direction from someone all the time, my roommates, to direct me. And that's how much longer it takes, and we need help. Any other questions?
So with those section 2 and section 3, is it better to get the same person to fill both of those out?
No, get the doctor to do section 2, okay, because that's his specialty, it's medical, right? So get the doctor to do his specialty, okay? But get the social worker. We have a couple of really good social workers that can, do section 3 for you, okay? And they can do over the phone. They'll interview you, and they'll fill out section 3 for you.
Okay, nice, thank you. So if you qualify for PWD and then you get a new job where your earnings are too high, and then you are removed from PWD, but then your circumstances change, do you need to then reapply, or do you remain in the PWD system and keep reporting it monthly?
No. Okay, if you're on PWD, then you find a job earning so much that you've gone beyond your $15,000, and then you deducted all your PWD monies, and then you move to what they call medical services only, MSO. Okay, and then you said your scenario is that then something happens, and then you have to get back on PWD. You need to contact the ministry again and tell them that you're no longer working and that you needing to get back on PWD again. If you have been on if it's been less than a year, then you may not have to reapply for PWD. But if it's more than you may have to reapply in case circumstances have changed, or you've gotten worse or anything like that, or something like that.
Okay, so it's around 1 year, but it's not as, it's
Yeah.
better to contact them on a case-to-case basis.
Yes, it's always good to keep them informed. Don't make assumptions that they know.
Okay, and you were saying that the standard wait time, like when you reach out, is like 5 days for them to get back to you?
5 business days.
Okay. Thank you. One kind of complicated question that was sent in. If someone has applied for PWD for their child, but was denied because they used to live in a different country, and well in the other country, they said, I can financially support this child for the next 10 years. So when they've moved to Canada, they have said, no, your claim is denied. If they become a Canadian citizen, should they reapply, or would that change?
If they become a Canadian citizen, definitely reapply.
Okay.
And then another point, if you move province to province, I would suggest that you keep a copy of everything, that your PWD application, your medical assessments, when you move to a different province, because otherwise you have nothing to start with.
Right. And is there like an appeal process? So if you did apply and it did not go through, and you're like, no, I want to be able to reapply again?
Yes, for PWD, you can always appeal. We'll help you do appeals. A lot of my colleagues are helping people with appeals. And so as soon as you get a denial, contact us. Okay, and then we'll help you with the process, because it's time restricted. Okay, that you can, you have such amount of time that you can appeal.
Okay. Do you know what that time process is?
Okay, remember, Paul, do you know? I can't remember, but they will tell you.
Okay,
Mail you a denial letter and they will tell you. I'm sorry, because I don't do appeals.
okay, that's okay. I appreciate you saying, no, that's someone else's area. One more question. Jennifer asks, my 18-year-old has 1 more year of autism funding. If he applies for PWD, will he lose the autism funding as he is getting autism, or is he getting income assistance instead?
They would need to talk to AutismBC.
Okay.
That's not my specialty. Yeah, all the different fundings. Because if you get money from somewhere else, it's always usually deducted dollar per dollar of your PWD monies. Except for your ODSP and PTC and all that.
I believe that's all the questions that are in the chat, plus all the questions that were emailed to me ahead of time. There were 2 more things that kind of came up. One, are we able to get a copy of the slides as a PDF? Okay.
I'll mail you a PDF copy.
Nice, that would be really helpful. So then I can send the PDF copy as well as a copy of the recording if people wanted to be able to listen to it and go back, because I know that that is a lot of really great information for people to be able to go back to. But I do find that sometimes it is fast for us to be able to go through. Nadine asked one other question. Does Disability Alliance help with other applications such as disability tax credit? Is there a list of services that can be accessed? That's a great question. Yes, Disability Alliance does help with other applications. They had a really great disability tax credit session that we ran during February. I'm sure that I still have a list of that. They also have a disability law clinic, and they're putting on our next AutismBC talk coming up in August is actually on supports and accommodations with one of the lawyers from their law clinic. So that is a presentation that is coming up next month, but I will share a link in the follow-up email as well to the other services that DABC helps with.
Taxes.
And taxes, yeah.
Year-round.
Year-round taxes and the tax sessions, like you can bring all your paperwork in and somebody helps you file your taxes and does it with you, is highly recommended.
Yeah, we can do up to 10 years back taxes for clients.
And then lastly, Lillian, if there are other questions that come up about PWD, what is the best way to get in contact with yourself or Disability Alliance?
Email me.
Email you. Okay, I'll share your email, and I know your contact details are at the end of this slide deck as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my contact.
Well, thank you so much for preparing this information and for connecting with some of the AutismBC members and sharing this information with us. Thank you, everyone who came to this. And I'm going to let people go a little bit early.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Have a great sunny day, everyone.
Bye.